Now, being a real avid bike geek like myself, I'm super excited to be here in Japan because there's a shop which I've been following on Instagram for a while called Corsa Corsa. And now I'm in Utenji, which is inside Tokyo. I've actually managed to come here. Now, I've never been in here in my life, but I'm very excited because from what I've seen online, they've got some absolutely amazing bits of kit. And I'm here because, well, they speak Campagnolo here, as you can see. So I'm going to go inside and meet the owner, who is going to show me some of the most amazing bikes in the world, at least I hope. Let's go and do it. Wow. Kids, do not turn off the TV because this is the future of aerodynamic bikes, or at least it was back in the 80s. Check out the filled-in sections in between the tubes to reduce air turbulence. I remember growing up, going to time trials with my father and seeing guys riding bikes like this, and it was absolutely brilliant. I loved them, and you still do see a few artisan frame builders making bikes like that. In fact, I looked at one back at the Bespoke show in the UK back in April, but this one is ever so special because, importantly, the front wheel is 24-inch. Why is that though? To get super low, super aerodynamic. The rear though, that is a 700C wheel. And well, finding wheels for this bike isn't necessarily going to be that easy because to get period correct parts, yeah, that's not a simple job. So check out that behind me. That's a 24-inch wheel, Campagnolo Ghibli disc wheel. I'm lost for words because I never thought I'd see one. I've heard they exist, but I've seen a 26-inch, never the 24. Oh, and this one, that's just one of Miguel Indurain's bikes just hanging around behind me. So part of Saatchi's job is actually to kind of fulfill his client's dreams, which I think is an absolutely amazing job to have because the pleasure of doing that, especially when your passion is bicycles, must be absolutely amazing. So I would love to be in his shoes. So take, for instance, this bike, this Rossin. This actually belongs to a rider called Alberto Fernandez back in the 1980s, so the early 80s. And he was a big rival of Giuseppe Cerrone, who was the world champion back in 82 in Goodwood. And, well, his client came along, saw his own bike, so saw Saatchi's bike, and said, I want one just like that. So Saatchi went to work, and look at what he's done. He's created an almost perfect replica. There's only a couple of differences I can actually spot. All brand new, amazing. It's done in such a way that, like I say, you know, he's fulfilling someone's dream, that he's seen that bicycle and they would like to have the same thing. So the chrome at the rear end is the same. The pantographing, it's taken my breath away again because I simply can't believe that these things are possible because I've searched high and low on the internet myself to try and find these sorts of parts, and I've never been able to. I've seen them on people's Instagram pages, and I've always wondered, where on earth have they got them from? I've met the man who finds these bits and makes people's dreams well and truly come true. Something else that has come to light in what I'm only going to call the Aladdin's Cave for bike lovers is this. A Campagnolo Record 50th anniversary group set in the original box that also comes in a zip-up bag as well. Everything brand new, never been used, never been fitted onto a bike. Now this one is actually model number 4721. So that's the 4721st edition of this 50th anniversary group set. So this is from 1983, and to be honest, between the years of 1983 and probably 1985 is kind of the vintage or classic Italian era of bike parts and bikes, really. You might even be able to see something in the background, which I'm going to come on to shortly, but the actual quality of it is very different to the other record from around about that time, in that the finish of it is noticeably different from the standard components. I can't explain how or why, but there are even some Americans out there who think that it's made from a different material. A lot of it is quite new to me because I was only 3 years old at the time, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time I've ever actually been able to touch one. I mean, we've got everything in here, even the gum-coloured brake lever hoods as well. I was never a fan of that colour, really. I always thought it looked a little bit weird, but when they're brand new, they look amazing, especially when you've got a little gold bit of logoing on there too. I'm really worried about damaging it, to be honest. Even the gear levers, they've still got a bit of the paper packaging that they came fitted with. You've got a brand new headset, a brand new bottom bracket. Of course, there's no sealed bearings on all of these parts. Well, they are sealed, but obviously they are cup and cone rather than cartridge bearing. So that's right, a hub from back then. No free hub on it. Instead, it's a screw-on freewheel that would go on there. Probably a Campagnolo, something like a 13 to 18 freewheel, or maybe a gold Sedis one if you were feeling really, really flashy. But these quick release skewers as well, one of my favourites because of the hinge. But there's actually kind of like this really cool little hinge here, which you can then flatten up against the locking nut of the skewer. Toe clips, of course, bringing back nightmares for me, falling off at traffic lights. Yeah, look at it though. 50th anniversary group set in the box. Wow. Now, many of you at home will be absolutely going wild if you're anything like me. Miguel Indurain's bike, this one is actually from 1996. And it is an absolute beauty. And it's really customised, actually, which did surprise me. Now, I'm unsure who the builder of this was. I know that when Indurain was using steel frames, he was having Dario Pegoretti, the late Dario Pegoretti, build some of his bikes. This one, however, is an alloy frame, but with a steel fork on it. Now, the frame itself is slightly undersized, if you like, for Indurain, because he was 6'2" in height, which is about 1.88 m. And traditionally, he used to use a built-up head tube there at the front, which he does have on this too. But by having a smaller diamond, if you like, of the frame, it's actually going to be a bit stiffer. And in doing so, there's a couple of customizations done. So, for instance, the top tube, it's slightly overliced here where it meets the seat tube. And I guess that's actually to increase the strength and rigidity. Also, the same can be said about the down tube. He's got a mountain bike stem on here, so an ITM Tomahawk stem, which has a slight rise on it. So in order to have a smaller frame, of course, you are going to need your bars at the correct height. So by using that stem, he's got them there. Now, the cranks on this bike, pretty unusual. 180 millimeters in length, which is not that common indeed. And the reason they are of that length is because Indurain has got really long femurs. So that's actually this bone here. And I remember reading years and years ago that someone said that's why he made such a good Grand Tour rider, because of the length of his femurs. Or in fact, maybe it's because he was such a good time trial rider. I can't remember. Either way, I'm going to carry on talking about the customised bits of tech, because this has got a 9-speed group set on there. One of the first ones from Campagnolo. So it does look like an 8-speed, particularly the levers, but there are 9 teeth on there. Now that cassette, 1223. That's right, 1223, 5339. Now, Grand Tour riders these days, they have a 28 cassette on the back there. So, yeah, Indurain, he was really something special. Sticking with this back wheel, look at the spokes. Sapim bladed spokes, tied and soldered on the drive side, because he was putting out so much power, that wheel needed to be super strong. Staying with these wheels, Campagnolo Barcelona 92 rims. I always wanted a pair of these when I was a kid, and now I'm not a kid, I still want a pair. Now, glued onto them, a pair of Vittoria Corsa CX tyres, tubulars, of course, in 21mm width. That's right, 21mm. Those of you at home who love riding around in your 25mm, Indurain, 21. 21. And the last bit on this bike is the forks are actually made of steel. So you can see here, because of the chrome finish. And one of the reasons behind that is it is incredibly difficult to make a really good alloy fork. It's just simply trying to get them in the correct lines and such like. It's not that easy to do. Well, Indurain, he knew a thing or two about it, didn't he? But one final thing, actually, I've just noticed, is that the handlebar tape is wrapped differently to what I would advise, and that most people advise, where you start at the bottom and finish at the top. In this case, he started at the top, finish at the bottom, but this sort of tape isn't going to curl up like it would do with a cork style tape. Instead, it will remain nice and flat. And I do like that actually, because you don't have to use any finishing tape at the end. Now, if you're thinking high-tech bike, I know what you're thinking, but this is high-tech. This is from probably the early 70s or mid-70s. Get this. Pop-up lights, probably inspired by something like a Lamborghini. And, well, that's not where it ends. This is its lock for the front wheel, so you just simply put that in, remove the key and go away, leave it somewhere safe. But even more interesting is the fact that this bike has got an electronic derailleur on it. Well, all right, the derailleur itself is not electronic, but it is in fact electronic gear shifting. Now, the Maruishi, it's not ready and working, so I can't demonstrate it, but check out that. There's actually a gear lever that you can use, and essentially it goes, I'm just being past this, it fits onto the top tube. Look at that. It's like a gear lever you would find in your car. So you put that on there. It connects to a motor, which is attached there on the rear end of the bike. And in turn, that motor actually moves the cable-adjusted rear derailleur. So it's not like your Di2 or SRAM E-TAP or Campagnolo EPS. But, well, for a 1970s edition, it's not bad, is it? Now, when I walked through the door of Corsa Corsa, I was met with this, the Colnago C35, a carbon fibre bike which looks, quite frankly, space age now. So imagine what it looked like back in 1983 when it was first released. Incredible bit of kit. Now, I mean, for a start, the fact it had 5-spoke wheels with it back then, that was incredible. Nothing else out there had 5-spoke wheels. And in fact, it took a long time for the Mavic 5-spoke, the Mavic IO. I think that was released in 1996. So that's some time later, isn't it? That's 13 years on. If we look at the group set, though, well, we've got a mixture of silver and gold. Of course, the gold is to complement the C35's gold decals, as well as check out the gear levers, where they are in the down tube. They're met in the centre of the tube, rather on the outsides, to give you a little bit of an aerodynamic gain. And whilst we're on those levers, look at that, internal cable routing. Again, this is so far into the future for back then, because it actually took a long time for technologies like that to actually become commonplace on road bikes. The swooping tube styles, the Regal saddle, again with the brass rivets and that almost crocodile-like skin, if you like, there. Then check out that bar tape. That matches in perfectly, both with the weave of the carbon as well as the actual perforations, I guess you could call those, on the saddle itself. This is truly a work of art. Now, all of these gold finishing details, that's not standard. That's been done by Saatchi himself, because he truly loves to customize bits for bikes to his own dream, or his customers' dreams. So that's why you may not have seen a gold Campagnolo seat post before, or levers, or shifters, or brakes, or cranks, or rear derailleur. I honestly feel right now like I have died and I've gone to heaven. I've got goosebumps. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit embarrassing. Yeah. For a start, we've got Mavic Paris-Roubaix SSC rims. I don't think I've ever touched any in my life, and people still dream about getting them, and I'm absolutely amazed. Veloflex Criterium tubular tyres. I mean, Campagnolo
C record,
first generation of C record, and it looks absolutely brand new. I'm absolutely got Sheriff Star hubs. Yeah. Sheriff Star hubs. This is from an era I don't know loads and loads about, but I know a little bit. Also got the chain tabs here, so that's to stop the wheel from moving when you lay down the power. I don't lay down enough power to worry about that. But a Clavinca frame, this is incredible. The paintwork and the lugs, everything, it's absolutely blown my mind. We've got the stitched on handlebar tape as well, Campagnolo bar ends, Benito bottle cage. It's things which I've seen and I've always dreamt about being able to get up close to, but now I'm able to. It's just simply stunning. This is the road-going version of the very much sought after by collectors Cinelli Laser. Now, there are very, very few of these still out there in the world, and this one is the 75th one to come off of the production line because, in fact, it is stamped down there on the bottom bracket shell. Now, this bike is from 1984, and it's got the first generation C record group set from the same year on it too. And this bike, I reckon, kind of started the old aerodynamics game. So it is just 12-speed gears, but importantly, it's fully internal cabled. So as you can see, where the cables leave the gear shifters that are mounted in the centre on a raised up boss, they go straight down into the down tube there, and the front derailleur one pops out just there by the rear tyre, and then the rear derailleur cable just pops out of the chainstay really neatly. And I never knew that existed on these bikes because, like I say, I've never been able to get up close and personal with one. Talk about the gears though. 12-speed, 6-speed there on the rear, and the wheels have actually got a really nice configuration. I had this on a bike of mine back in the 90s, so I was a little bit out of date, in fact, and I thought I was quite futuristic. We've got a 2-cross in this case, drive side, and we've got radially laced non-drive side. I always think that looks super, super cool. Front wheel, fully radial, with slightly bladed spokes just to cheat the wind a little bit more, matching up with the frame's characteristics. And if one Cinelli Laser wasn't enough to write home about, well, we've got another one here. Nothing much really to say about this one. Actually, there's a lot, but I'm not going to go fully into depth on this one just yet. But something of incredible interest me on this one is that it's a track bike, so as you can see here from the horizontal rear-facing dropouts, but it does in fact have water bottle cage mounts on there too. Now, I don't think it's been used in time trials or anything like that because there are no signs of any brakes being fitted in the past. However, it makes me think that maybe somebody was training for maybe possibly the hour record and wanted to have an exact replica of the bike they'd be using for it, so they opted for one with bottle cage mounts. It's incredible that this bike has still stood the test of time, and I love the fact that someone's keeping it nice and safe, and well, it's not being destroyed in any way at all by using it out on the road, for instance, as some track bikes do tend to find their way going there. But with a bike as iconic as this, it deserves its place rightfully on a wall, I think. So we've got a Campagnolo SGR pedal here, which are as rare as hen's teeth, to be perfectly honest. And this one has been kind of chrome plated, but with a gold effect finish, and then with Campagnolo printed on the side there. So if gold's your thing, then maybe these are the thing for you. You don't find these at all anymore. I wonder if you'll notice if I take it. I simply had to include this Bianchi Centenario. So this celebrates the 100-year anniversary of Bianchi. So this is from 1985. And if you look at it, it looks like it could still be from 1995, because in fact bikes didn't change that much in those 10 years. But if you will look at it in detail, you are going to see so many fine details on there. We've got all the pantographing here saying Bianchi Centenario, as well as using the beautiful Celeste colour as well in the inset here of Bianchi. And that is on every single component on the bike, including the seat post there, you can see. Even the rims have got Bianchi on them. Those rims, pretty sure they're probably a pair of Ambrosios. Even the tyres, though, they've been made especially to match this bike. And the rumour has it that this is probably one of the last 100% Italian-built bikes coming out of Bianchi. I just got to say as well, look at this. Even the pump has got leather hand-stitched onto the handles. So you're not going to get, well, sore hands necessarily when you're pumping up your flat tyre. Although I don't think this bike is going to be used that much in order to get a flat tyre, to be perfectly honest. Even the bottle, that's even got some leather wrapped around it too, as has the handlebars and matching brake cables. This bike is something just to behold and look at. As for the paintwork, well, there isn't actually any paintwork on it. It's a chrome effect finish. It's really hard to actually notice and spot, but it is certainly something oh so special, as are those seat stays actually. Just notice how slender and thin they are where they join the seat tube lug there at the back. Oh. Please can I take it home? Please? Now, many of you will know how much I enjoy cleaning bikes. Having a clean bike is a happy bike, and we all want to have a happy bike after all. But if I own this Masi Gran Criterium, I think that cleaning a bike would be taken to the next level, because just simply check out these cutaways here on the chainstay, horizontally going through. It's minus material, as well as up here on the seat stays too, where they join the top tube and the seat tube, again missing. And then what's super cool is on the front forks also. Coming from the front, you're going to see there, also it's missing material. It's just purely for design. I don't think it's for function anyway, because these bikes, they're not going to be the most aerodynamic, racy going machines, but to look at, well, that looks fantastic. Don't you agree? I have had so much fun visiting Saatchi and all of his bikes and parts and everything like that. I wish I could stay here for longer, but it's dark outside. That's why we're having to finish off here rather than leaving the shop, because, well, there's no daylight left. But let me know which of these bits of tech were your favourite down there in the comment section down below. Again, I wish I could have shown you everything, because it's absolutely ram-packed full of amazing, great stuff. Now, as ever, remember to like and share this video with your friends. I'm sure you're going to do that, especially on this one. And don't forget to check out the GCN shop at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com, where we have a whole heap of goodies for you to check out. And now, for another great video, click just down here. And I'm going to have to be probably thrown out of here, because I don't want to leave.